After a heavy meal, the standard physical response is a crash. Your body suddenly requires 10 to 12 hours of sleep just to process what you ate. But the target state is the exact opposite, a dramatically decreased sleep quota paired with sharp, sustained alertness. This difference comes down to the fuel. The specific type of food we consume and exactly how we consume it directly dictates our physical energy and mental agility throughout the day. To achieve this state, we use a biological reset known as the 50-50 Conscious Meal Protocol. It is a systematic approach designed to eliminate post-meal lethargy. Executing this protocol requires 3 precise steps: categorizing your raw ingredients, perfectly balancing your plate, and mastering a strict psychological pause before you take your first bite. If you experience baseline daytime exhaustion, you are dealing with a mechanical error in how you process your daily fuel, not a personal failing. Step 1 is ingredient selection. Yogic science categorizes all food into positive, negative, and zero pranic energies, based entirely on how they impact your nervous system. Pranic simply refers to the life energy contained within the food. First, you must eliminate negative pranic foods, which include onion, garlic, coffee, and chili. These substances artificially stimulate the nervous system, which inevitably leads to a physical crash. Next, you need to limit zero pranic foods, like potatoes and tomatoes. While they provide calories, they introduce deep inertia into the body and directly increase the amount of sleep you require to function. Now we apply the foundational physical rule of the protocol, building the 50-50 plate. Exactly 50% of your plate must consist of live food, uncooked vegetables, fruits, and sprouted grams. A live cell contains everything it needs to sustain itself, providing the optimal biological software for your own system to integrate. The remaining 50% is your cooked half, consisting of items like millets or pulses. To avoid lethargy, you must consume this cooked portion within 1.5 hours of taking it off the stove. This strict timeline prevents you from eating days-old refrigerated meals. High inertia refrigerated food severely dulls your mental agility and slows down your digestion. The strict mathematical ratio of live to cooked food on your plate directly dictates the ratio of your waking energy to your required sleep. Now that you have constructed the exact plate, we transition to the psychology of when and how we take our first bite. The first mandatory step happens before you eat. You sit down hungry, look at the food, and wait exactly 3 minutes. Denying immediate gratification breaks the cycle of animalistic, compulsive behavior. It shifts your brain into conscious action, preparing the body for optimal digestion. The first mechanical rule of eating is to use your bare hands. This allows you to physically feel the temperature and texture of the food, giving your system advance notice about what it is about to process. After you finish eating, it takes a minimum of 2.5 hours for the food to completely move out of your stomach. This brings us to the strict temporal rule of the protocol. You must establish a mandatory 6 to 8 hour gap before consuming your next meal. The biological imperative is simple. Your body cannot actively digest food and perform deep cellular purification at the exact same time. If you constantly snack throughout the day, you halt the cellular healing process. Without time to heal, rotting waste begins to accumulate in your digestive tract. If you skip the digestion gap, your intestinal villi, the tiny finger-like projections lining your gut, absorb this dead waste from an unclean colon and transport it to every cell in your body, triggering chronic disease. Hunger is not an emergency that you must fix immediately. Maintaining an entirely empty stomach is the baseline biological condition your body requires for systemic cellular repair. When you execute this protocol correctly, you experience an immediate physiological shift. You will operate with a perfectly empty stomach paired with incredibly high energy levels. Getting there requires 4 core pillars: selecting pranic food, maintaining the 50-50 ratio, observing the 3-minute pause, and enforcing a 6-hour digestion gap. Maintaining high energy on an empty stomach is the exact biological state where your mental and physical capabilities operate at their absolute peak. Vitality is achieved by consciously regulating the quality of your input and deeply respecting the emptiness that follows.